jig bite. Dunked it. Oh boy. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm Oliver Nye. We are on beautiful Clear Lake, California. And today we're gonna talk about fishing a jig in rock. Sometimes I feel like when I'm in the middle of the country and south, it could be a mission finding rock, but on the West Coast, rocks, bass, and jigs are a staple. So we're gonna go over a little jig fishing for you today. Got an Arkie style jig here from Nichols with a 13 soft plastic trailer. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna show you guys some tips, some tricks, what I'm looking for, how I work the jig, and we'll talk about the tackle setup as well. Nice. No, seriously, it's funny. Oh, hold on. Oh, there we go. That's a good one. That's a good fish. It's coming up. Oh, stay down. It's not that good. They're just strong here, man. Nice. And that's how you want them pinned, boys and girls. If you guys are on a phone call, need to catch up with friends like Parker Wright, a jig over this hard bottom is a fantastic way to catch bass. Gosh, look at that thing. Right where you want them.
Dude, I can literally hear the line go. I was like, oh, he's on.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm jealous. Now I want to go back to the lake.
Oh man, that was a good dump. I'm fishing.
Don't make me turn around.
I'm fishing that one of those Nichols Arkie jigs, green pumpkin,
no.
And a 13 fishing Craw trailer. It's pretty sweet, man. I'm liking it.
Things look dope. Is that like the rock pretty good?
Yeah, I haven't snagged it once, I don't think. Let me show you guys my tackle breakdown on fishing this Arkie style jig. So if you actually see the jig head here, it's kind of got that spade or shovel shape to it, and it allows this jig to be fished in a variety of cover. I flip wood with this jig. You can still fish through some pretty sparse grass with this jig. And as you've seen today, the Arkie style jig head fishes rather well across big rock flats, scattered rock, sand to small gravel to medium-sized softball rocks to these big lava rock boulders out here. It's a really, really versatile style of jig head. And it's got a green pumpkin silicone skirt here. And for the trailer, we've got a 13 fishing Ninja Craw on there. It's got these sweet little craw tails. Gives this bait a lot of action, and although it looks kind of weird to somebody that's new to fishing, once you get this thing in the water and see the way that that skirt pulses along with that trailer body, it's really effective. It's a great choice when you're looking for a little bit bigger than average sized bass, what makes it a really popular tournament bait. But it's just a great bait to get bit. And all we're doing today is we're casting this thing on a long cast where I know there's rock. Okay, and I'm gonna allow this bait to sink to the bottom. So I've got my reel in free spool. Because what happens is if you actually put that reel in gear and don't allow that bait to fall on a slack line, it's actually gonna pendulum back towards you and you're gonna lose a lot of your casting distance. So we're pretty shallow here, hits the bottom, put the reel in gear, and I'll check right away. A lot of times that bait's falling and those legs are kicking, you'll get a bite on the drop or as soon as it hits the bottom. And then I'll go into my retrieve. And if you guys have seen the Texas rig video, it's honestly very similar. I want to maintain as much bottom contact as I can. And I'm gonna drag the bait a little bit. I'll incorporate a couple of pops or hops. I'll even shake the bait. And every time you hit a small rock or a patch of rocks, that Arkie jig is actually going to catch the rock and actually pivot that Craw trailer up, almost like a defensive posture of a real crayfish. But it's giving it a lot of action, little micro deflections. Oh, that felt good. And the bites can range from anything from a slight tick to hopefully a thump. You can feel that jig hit the back of their throats, and their crushers actually crush it like they would a crayfish. But I've also had a couple bites today where it was just mush. So they eat it and they pick it up and they swim off with it. So for me, because I still get quite a few pressure bites or sponge or mush bites, fishing 50-pound braid to a short fluorocarbon leader is key for me, because I can maintain ultimate sensitivity. And I can feel that Arkie jig crawling across the rocks. When I know I'm in a little rock pile, I'll tend to stop and let that bait kind of soak there and shake it really subtly, because I anticipate a bass calling that home. And then boom! And it's important to wind down, point that rod tip almost at that fish instantaneously, and then set the hook. And that's important because most of these jigs come rigged with a fiber weed guard. So there's 30 to 40 strands of this plastic weed guard here. And when a bass eats this thing and envelops it, you've got to set the hook hard to get this bait to move forward, compress that weed guard, and penetrate the top of their mouth. So it's one of the reasons why I love jig fishing. You get to wind down and cross their eyeballs. It's a blast. I'm fishing a medium heavy rod. This is 7'2". I'll fish anything from medium heavy to heavy, 3/8 ounce to 1 ounce size jigs. We're pretty shallow today. We're fishing between 5 and 15 feet, and that's shallow for out here on the west. So I can get away with a little bit lighter gear, but be ready for a big bite. You can see all the bites on the trailer here from today's action. I like to match the jig skirt to the trailer color. As you can see in my box of trailers here, lots of options to cover a myriad of water conditions. Generally the black and blues and the June bugs, any of the blue hues work really well in off-colored water like we got here at Clear Lake today. And then green pumpkin is hard to beat all over the world. So if you guys haven't already, pick up a jig, maintain that bottom contact, pop it off the bottom once in a while, get ready for that thump, wind down, and swing big. I'm Oliver Nye. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Some of the best yet. Some of the best yet. They bite like that, like that, like that. Big bass, double digits.
Pick up the fire right on top.
Low fall, blast off, trying to get some cast off. Doing this here for years, get my bass on. Stream mask on, putting in work. Snap back, got me focused, never settle on a shirt. I missed one and hit one, man, that's getting some. 2, 3, 4, 5 more, come on, that's ripping up. The way the bass sticking, the way my fin